Good morning, readers. It's Tilly here from Tilly's Shelf, and welcome to another Bookish Breakfast. Today, Bookish Breakfast is live from Harrogate. I'm in a hotel in Harrogate, and you may be wondering, why are you in a hotel at a time when nobody's really allowed to travel? We were told yesterday that we're allowed to share that we have volunteered, so I'm going to. I have volunteered to work at NHS Nightingale, Yorkshire and the Humber, so I'm just currently having some induction and training related to starting there. So that's kind of an exciting thing to do at a time that's going to be difficult everywhere, so I just thought I would go for it and see what things are like here. And I have to say, it's very inspiring, the amount of work that has been done already, and the amount of effort that has gone into creating something in case it is needed. It's a real case of preparing for the worst but hoping for the best, and it's very nice to see how well prepared we are for things to not go very well. But we've got the preparations now to cover some of that. But yeah, last week I asked whether you would like to hear about what work is like, and I got kind of more votes against than votes for, so I'm going to leave work to one side and talk about Bookish Things. So Bookish Things this week, I have continued to enjoy the National Theatre at Home live broadcast on YouTube. This week I watched Jane Eyre. I actually saw that production live when it came to Yorkshire, so I saw that on stage and loved it, and me and my partner were both very happy to be able to see it again, and I both enjoyed seeing it again. Like, it was really worth just another watching, because it's very well thought out. It's really beautifully staged in terms of the way that they use different levels and sort of the way that the characters interact. There's a very small cast, but they do a lot of doubling. I thought it was really clever the way that they doubled which characters. Like, so for instance, the actress that played Helen Burns also played St John Rivers, so two characters that are very, in a way, very driven by their faith, and that push Jane to be something that she is not, in a way that benefits her in the future, if that makes sense. But equally, the actor who played Rochester was also the actor who played her cousin John at the beginning, who throws the book at her, and it's kind of like two characters that actually are maybe supposed to be providing her with a stable home environment, but convey a sense of threat at many times towards her. So I found that a very interesting staging and a very interesting adaptation of the story. I watched a little video about it, and it talks about how they focused on the idea of Jane Eyre and autobiography as opposed to Jane Eyre and romance. So it really takes you through the whole story of Jane's life, and focuses a lot more on her early life than almost any other production would. Like, most people just kind of skip over that, but they kind of went into it in detail and kind of showed how it developed Jane as a character, which I loved. There is just one day more today to catch that, if you want to catch that, and then this evening they're replacing it with Treasure Island, which I don't know that I'm going to watch because it's not a book that I've read, and I feel like I would like to read the book first. So, what else bookish-wise? I haven't read an awful lot. I've read a little bit more of Pride and Prejudice. It's really weird because I would normally sit down with a Jane Austen and finish it in 2 or 3 days and just love the whole journey. But with anything that I'm reading at the moment, I'm having to make a really conscious effort to say, I'm going to read now. I'm going to, like, put this time towards reading, and I have to persuade myself that that's a valuable use of that time, to use it to read fiction as opposed to read sort of articles that would help me towards understanding what's going on at work, because I know I need to take some kind of switched off time for my mind, and I know that fiction really helps me with that, but it just takes some encouragement. I just have to persuade myself that is necessary, and I think I've benefited from sitting down and reading Pride and Prejudice. I've been really enjoying it, but I just haven't got the motivation to read it that I normally would do, so it's weird. Otherwise, I have continued, after a break of about 3 weeks, I've continued with my audiobook of Neverwhere by Neil Gaimon. I stopped that at a really exciting, tense moment and just kind of completely forgot everything that was going on, and when I started playing it again, I got into the story very, very quickly because it was such a exciting moment. I had to skip back a little bit to refresh myself, and I feel like, oh, how did I stop this? But I have the feeling that because I'm not doing the kind of activities where I would normally listen to audiobooks, as in I'm not generally walking in and out of work at the moment, just because of the tiring nature of work in itself. I don't want to add an extra hour of walking onto that. So I'm not having those opportunities, the windows of time to listen to Neverwhere that I normally would have. But hopefully I'll be able to finish it soon. I might travel back by public transport tonight. I'm not sure, so I could listen to the rest of it on that. I've only got about 2 or 3 hours left, and that's been enjoyable. And then the actual paper book that I've been reading, pushed myself to read some poetry in this difficult time. I've been reading Alice Oswald's Falling Awake, and this was one that Roz from Scally Dandling About the Books recommended to me. She gave it to me when I last was down to borrow, and I really struggle to motivate myself to read poetry, and I really struggle to motivate myself to understand poetry. And I think I've had a bit of that here, because I've tagged the poems that I like, and there's a whole chunk at the beginning where I didn't tag any poems. I was like, why am I reading this? I'm just not bothered. And then when I was sitting down yesterday evening and reading it when I was kind of quite awake, I was tagging basically every other poem. And then when I got into bed and was curled up and like ready to go to sleep, again, I was back to feeling like I'm not very interested in these. So I think it requires just that level of engagement. The poems that I've tagged that I've particularly liked are ones in which the poet interacts with nature in a way and puts herself. So there was one where she imagines the experience of the falling dew. There is another one where she imagines like the journey of a raindrop from when it coalesces together in a cloud and then travels like towards the earth and the things that it can see, and the kind of the experience that it has at the start of a rain shower. I really, really like that one. And another one where she imagines beans starting to grow and describes the process of a climbing bean growing. The other one that I tagged was called Village, and it starts out, I kind of thought it was about kind of teenage hooligans, but it's actually it's a very spooky and unnerving poem about the elderly residents of a village that is gradually on the decline. So that's been interesting. I'm over halfway through, so the next part is called Tithonus, and it is a long poem that's supposedly a dawn poem over 45 minutes or 46 minutes as the dawn rises, and it's about Tithonus and the dawn, which I think is a Greek kind of legend. Yeah, so that's been interesting, and hopefully I'll finish that at some point this week. And I never normally just sit and read a book of poems, so I packed it because I didn't know whether or not I was going to be staying the night, so I wanted to bring something if I was staying over to do. But in case I wasn't staying over, I didn't want to fill my bag with heavy things. So I'm glad that I brought it, and I have been enjoying it. Anyway, I hope you're all having a lovely week and doing lots of lovely reading, and that you're all safe and well. Take care, everyone. Bye.